Ricky Bell just dropped major bombshells about what really went down with Bell Biv DeVoe, and trust me, it's wilder than you'd ever imagine. If you've ever wondered how 3 guys from New Edition created Poison, one of the biggest hits in New Jack Swing history, only to stumble when the music industry tossed them aside, you're in the right place. From the drama of being overshadowed in their old group to their meteoric rise as pioneers of a whole new sound, and the personal struggles that almost tore them apart, this story has it all.
If you ever lose the feeling and you think you're all alone.
People always assumed Bell Biv DeVoe was just a quick spin-off for fun, but Ricky's confessions reveal a much deeper tale of survival, ambition, and reinvention. How did they go from ruling the charts to nearly losing it all? And why is everyone talking about hidden feuds, shady label moves, and Ricky Bell's darkest moments? Let's break down every twist and turn of a journey that proves showbiz can build you up 1 minute and knock you down the next. Buckle up, because Bell Biv DeVoe's truth is about to change everything you thought you knew. The late 80s were rough for New Edition. Bobby Brown was gone, Ralph Tresvant was flirting with a solo career, and nobody knew what to do with Johnny Gill. The label was in panic mode, unsure of how to repackage New Edition without the star power of Bobby or the smooth vocals of Ralph. Enter legendary producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They saw something in the members who didn't usually sing lead: Ricky Bell, Micheal Bivins, and Ronnie DeVoe. Their idea was radical. Instead of more ballads, they'd fuse R&B with hip-hop, letting these guys lean into the swagger and the street vibe. Ricky, Mike, and Ronnie had an energy that wasn't going to work with classic R&B formulas. That meant edgy beats, rap interludes, and an overall shift toward what was just starting to catch fire: New Jack Swing. Little did the label know, this gamble would be huge. When Bell Biv DeVoe formed, they weren't just an offshoot, they were a shot at creative survival.
That you had to work with.
Okay, so you couldn't afford them?
No, we couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford him, we couldn't afford Babyface, we couldn't.
Have you ever heard a track so different it's almost jarring? That was Poison. At first, even the executives at the label didn't get it. It was loud, brash, and slammed together rap segments with melodic vocals. The suits were convinced it wouldn't work on R&B radio. Then Poison hit the airwaves and blew everyone's minds. The beat was fierce, the energy off the charts, and Bell Biv DeVoe's in-your-face swagger gave New Jack Swing a defiant new edge. Instantly, BBD was no longer seen as the other guys from New Edition. They were the fresh new wave, making everyone's head spin. What the industry didn't expect was just how far this fresh approach would go. BBD's first album soared to multiple platinum status, churning out hits that took over clubs, radio, and living rooms across America. But as with any meteoric rise, the higher they got, the harder it was to maintain that level of hype. Critics who once praised them began to doubt whether they could replicate that Poison magic again. And behind those killer dance moves and snappy outfits, trouble was brewing. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Joe Rogan stepped in with a scathing commentary about Bell Biv DeVoe's journey, comparing it to other stories of stardom where unchecked egos lead to downfall. According to Rogan, BBD's crash paralleled classic patterns of rapid success, followed by personal feuds, financial mishaps, and label politics. He pointed out that their ego and unpreparedness might have accelerated their fade from the spotlight. The fact that Rogan even addressed BBD showed how far-reaching their influence was, even if, by that time, they were no longer topping the charts. Some fans felt Rogan was being harsh, but others saw his point. If you're not careful, fame can blind you. In BBD's case, it seemed like a perfect storm of personal meltdown, label indifference, and overall neglect. Whether you agree with him or not, Rogan's rant thrust BBD's name back into conversations, sparking debates about whether they'd squandered their potential or been unfairly pushed aside. The first album was such a monster hit that the label scrambled for a sequel. They wanted another Poison, an unstoppable track to keep BBD on top. But, as is often the case in music, trying to force a second lightning in a bottle rarely works. Their sophomore effort, Hootie Mac, was rushed. The promotional budget was slashed, and critics smelled desperation. Meanwhile, New Jack Swing was evolving, hip-hop was getting tougher, and R&B was getting smoother. BBD found themselves in a weird spot. Not hip-hop enough for the rap crowd, not smooth enough for the adult R&B crowd. The label lost faith quickly. On top of that, personal dynamics got messy. BBD members wanted more creative control to prove they weren't just a one-trick pony, while the label wanted them to churn out more of the same. Arguments flared, representatives got involved, and it turned into a PR headache. While they still had a loyal fan base, mainstream radio wasn't as enthusiastic the second time around. Slowly, opportunities dried up, and it seemed that no one in the industry cared about giving BBD the time or resources to find a fresh direction. Even as the group began to struggle, Ricky Bell was going through a personal nightmare. The pressure of staying relevant, combined with the glamour of fast money and a non-stop schedule, led him down a dark path of addiction.
Mike's not having it. Mike's like, this is my only part in the whole show.
Yeah, you're not gonna mess this up.
And Bobby's beatboxing him is so...
For a while, he managed to hide it from friends, family, and even bandmates. But as the group's star dimmed, he leaned harder into substance abuse, battling demons that threatened to destroy his life. He eventually found himself deep in debt and deep in denial, a tragic scenario for a guy who'd once been a platinum-selling artist. Ricky later acknowledged that the industry that once cheered him on was nowhere to be found when he needed a reality check. There was no mentorship on handling sudden wealth or coping with the roller coaster of fame. By the time he realized how bad it had gotten, the group's momentum had fizzled, and his personal life was teetering on collapse. If not for a wake-up call from loved ones, Ricky might have ended up as another cautionary tale, just another star undone by fame's dark side. Here's the thing about showbiz. It loves you when you're hot, but it'll drop you as soon as the next trend comes along. Bell Biv DeVoe discovered that firsthand. Once Poison Mania cooled off, the label seemed clueless about what to do next. Were BBD going to chase adult contemporary ballads, stick to gritty, street-style R&B, or break into pop radio? Without a solid plan, they were essentially left behind. Radio stations hopped onto the next wave of artists, label execs focused on brand new acts, and BBD's second album just didn't resonate like their debut. By the mid-90s, the entire musical landscape was pivoting. New Jack Swing was on the decline, replaced by everything from gangsta rap to slick R&B balladeers. BBD found themselves overshadowed by a new generation of artists who took their original blueprint and fine-tuned it. Instead of pushing for reinvention, the label left BBD to fend for themselves, proving once again that loyalty in showbiz is as stable as quicksand.
And at the time, like we had business managers. They would like pay our bills for us when we're on the road, and we get home, there's no money.
It would have been easy for Bell Biv DeVoe to fade into one-hit wonder territory, but they weren't about to give up that easily. As the label retreated, the group decided to double down on their core fan base. Instead of chasing mainstream recognition, they shifted to smaller venues, old-school concerts, and direct fan interactions. The lesson? Nostalgia can be a powerful thing. Poison and other BBD classics never really disappeared. They thrived on party playlists and throwback nights. The guys realized they could build a second wind from the loyalty of fans who never forgot that BBD once shook up R&B. Meanwhile, Ricky Bell's personal journey took him from rock bottom to recovery. Undergoing rehab and embracing sobriety, he emerged stronger and more determined to prove that BBD was more than just a 90s memory. This renewed sense of purpose would lay the groundwork for a comeback that defied all odds. Here's the kicker. In 2017, BBD dropped 3 Stripes, their first album in 16 years. It was the kind of surprise comeback nobody expected from a group labeled past their prime. Yet it debuted strongly on the iTunes R&B charts, reminding everyone that BBD's unique style hadn't lost its punch. They roped in collaborations with Boyz II Men and SWV, blending nostalgia with fresh vibes in a way that felt both vintage and new.
If I were you, I'd take precaution. Before I step tempting.
Coincidentally, the BET biopic The New Edition story hit around the same time, reigniting interest in the entire New Edition legacy. Suddenly, people remembered that Bell Biv DeVoe wasn't just a random side project. They were innovators who helped bring hip-hop flair to R&B. Talk shows started inviting them on, fans flooded social media with love, and a whole new audience discovered the group's music. BBD wasn't just back. They were living proof that a group can survive an industry that tried to write them off. Bell Biv DeVoe's saga is more than just a few hit songs or a nostalgic footnote. It's a roadmap for anyone in the entertainment world trying to adapt and overcome. They showed that even if you start as the background members of a more famous group, you can step into the spotlight and own it.
Her and her mom was just so amazing for me. They came in and she just didn't judge me at all. She helped me move out.
They proved you can pioneer a new sound, watch the industry cast you aside, and still claw your way back with grit and a dedicated fan base. Ricky Bell's personal battles revealed just how crucial support systems and financial education are in an industry that loves to burn through talent. He beat addiction and reclaimed his career on his own terms, becoming a role model for others facing similar struggles. Meanwhile, BBD's second wave of success taught them not to rely solely on radio spins or label budgets. Nostalgia, genuine artistry, and a willingness to engage directly with fans kept them afloat when mainstream love disappeared. Today, Bell Biv DeVoe is considered a legacy act. They still sell out shows, they still crush it on stage, and their classics, especially Poison, remain timeless party anthems. While some older groups tried desperately to chase new trends, BBD has embraced its roots while remaining open to modern influences. They're booked for nostalgic tours, occasionally release fresh material, and fans eat it up because it's authentic. Ricky Bell openly discusses his journey from chart-topping success to battling addiction and back.
Life moves swiftly, but when you're with me, moments take hold.
Micheal Bivins has proven himself a savvy businessman, managing and producing other acts, while Ronnie DeVoe has never lost his hustle, always keeping an eye on new opportunities. Each member overcame serious personal and professional hurdles, emerging stronger and more independent. They don't owe their success to any label or corporate machine. They owe it to the fans who never stopped partying to Poison and to their refusal to let the industry define their worth. Bell Biv DeVoe's story goes way beyond the monster success of Poison. They started as the underdog trio from New Edition, evolved into R&B rebels who added a hip-hop vibe to smooth melodies, and eventually found themselves discarded by an industry that constantly chases the next big thing. But against all odds, they fought back. They dealt with heartbreak, addiction, label drama, and shifting trends, yet still managed to carve out a second life on their own terms. Ricky Bell's confessions aren't just about clearing the air. They're about showing how a group can rise, fall, and rise again in a business designed to forget you once your 15 minutes are up. What do you think about Ricky Bell's big reveal? Were Bell Biv DeVoe victims of an unforgiving music scene, or did their own decisions lead them astray? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more behind-the-scenes insights on your favorite artists.